This month, our spotlight lands on local artist Sharon Surrency. She arrived in Florida back in 1978 and has been participating in the local art scene ever since. Sharon enjoys watercolor painting because it involves an element of risk that you can't get from any other type of art. Here's a look at the artwork of Sharon Surrency.
I'm Sharon Surrency. My hometown is Festus, Missouri. Came to Florida back in '78, and I've just always been in the arts in one way or another. Now I'm from the generation where an art degree really had little value. So I did go to college, full scholarships, and received 2 degrees in education. But I guess when art's in your blood, it just follows you through life. It just twines in and out. I come from the Midwest. We were outside a lot. When I raised my family, they were boys. They loved camping, so we spent a lot of time out in nature. And when we did that, I usually took my painting supplies with me and did little quick sketches and that sort of thing. So I guess it just, became my repertoire. I have a studio in my home, and I go into the studio and create as often as I can. So is it every day? Not necessarily, but it's enough to keep me motivated and to keep my skills moving. And as every artist always says, we always want to become more dedicated and more creative, and so that's kind of where I'm at right now. Whenever I create a watercolor, I have to have a sense of first self-expression, but I want that element of risk. I want to allow the watercolor it's a free spirit, and if you give it rein, it will surprise you in so many ways. Now, what does that mean? That means that not every watercolor is going to be, a frameable masterpiece. However, it's the process. Creativity and dedication go hand in hand. Sitting around waiting for the muse to come and tap you on the shoulder, not so much. And get in the studio, and start painting, and creativity and innovation and all of that comes to you. And watercolor just exemplifies all of that. I do acrylics occasionally, and they're fun, but not the same as watercolor. And when you drop that pigment into water, or you drop pigments into other pigments, the mingling, the excitement that it creates, you can't get that with other media. So the process really starts in your mind. Like that little photograph there, I keep going past it, and I did paint it decades ago, and still it comes back to you. You sketch it out real fast, and that's the important thing, you do sketch it out. I probably spend more time on the drawing, at least as much time, if not more time, on the drawing than I do on the painting. You've got a reference. Most people use references, some don't, but most people do. And at some point in the painting, you kind of forget about it, and the painting takes on its own life, and it tells you where to go. So each brush stroke toward the end has definite meaning. Sometimes, some painting sessions, you're kind of fighting the elements, so to speak, but then there's those times whenever it just flows. And you're in, you're kind of right-brained, you're in the flow, everything just kind of moves together. You're not really thinking, you are just doing. And everything that you've learned, that's why I tell people who come in for classes, is to get that framework of knowledge, because then whenever you get in the flow, it's there for you. And whenever you have that need to create, it's there. All the tools are there, and it just kind of flows. I love the work of Mary Cassatt. Read her biographies every time I get an opportunity to see her work in a museum. Her line just takes the viewer, just takes them on a journey through her compositions. It's just beautiful. And her form, the softness of her color palette, it just, it just draws me to her work. I've always been involved in women's movements and so forth. And one comment that Degas made to her, which always stayed with me, was that he saw one of her pieces and said, "This is perfect. Women can't paint like that." Well, make a long story short, he ended up purchasing that piece of artwork. But yeah, women through the ages, Mary Cassatt, Georgia O'Keeffe, Lee Krasner, married to Jackson Pollock. I read a lot of their biographies, and very, very inspirational to me. I spent, over 20 years in the classroom, and the arts encompasses everything. But it does more than that. The arts gets into the spirit, the soul of people, and it can make them get outside of themselves, and that journey of self-expression is just so important. But taking another tangent and education of the arts, I just think it's so important for society. We get a little frustrated in the arts because there's always money for sports and parks and so forth and so on, but maybe an arts center, maybe not so much. That to me is just as important to society, if not more so, than some of the other things that society tends to focus on. I think the art scene, local art scenes have their ebb and flow. And when I came here back in '78, it was booming. We had incredible artists in the area. And in fact, like I said, we all go on headwinds and tailwinds. And a group of very accomplished artists embraced me, and I joined the group back then. We showed together, and then my husband started Arts in the Park back then, and that was just a great experience. And then we kind of had a lull, just kind of a lull. And then the past 5 or 6 years, just, the new generations are just coming up with so many different areas of art, not just the, as some of the young people call us, old school, but some really exciting things happening in Polk County. And so it's an exciting time.
Get involved and check out a variety of different classes offered at the Meraki Artists Resource Center by visiting www.the-mark.com.